Ashton, please come back. I swear I didn't mean to hurt you.
Get over yourself, Davey. As if you could hurt me.
So, Darwin Nunez is one of the footballers. We can say that at most. Darwin Nunez is one of the Uruguayan footballers. That we can also say. Shit. Darwin Nunez is fine as hell, but in all seriousness, Darwin Nunez is a footballer that ever since he joined Liverpool, ever since he came to the Premier League, has received a lot of scrutiny and a lot of criticism, mainly because of his lack of goal scoring ability. I mean, like, as of now, when you think of people that miss open chances, the first name that comes to mind is Darwin Nunez. He is basically the poster boy of big chances missed. There is a running joke that Darwin doesn't score easy goals, but he only goes for hard goals. Hard goals. I mean, if you've seen this lad's goal catalog from last year, you would have thought he would have been the second coming of Zlatan. But thankfully, we have eyes. We watch Darwin Nunez. We know the type of footballer he is. But this video is brought to you by Liverpool versus Lille. I say that because that match, if you guys follow the channel, you know on the my community posts, I post big game reviews where I review the big games. I tell you guys who I think were the good players and who I think were the stinkers. And in that game, I believe Liverpool's 3 best players were Luis Diaz, Tsimikas, who I thought was man of the match, and Darwin Nunez. And I was scrolling on Twitter, I found this unique stat line. Darwin Nunez was playing striker for Liverpool. He had 3 chances created, 4 out of 4 tackles won, 3 clearances, 6 recoveries, and 4 out of 7 ground duels won. That doesn't sound like the stats of a striker. That sounds like that's a literal defensive midfielder. Now, I also want to bring up this topic because I saw this video at the beginning of the season about predictions for Liverpool, and one of the predictions was that Darwin Nunez would be Liverpool's Joel Linton. To solve their DM crisis, they would move Darwin Nunez from like a striker to a defensive midfielder. Kind of like with Newcastle, they moved Joel Linton from a left winger to a defensive midfielder. Now, despite Darwin Nunez quite literally having not picked up his stride after 3 years in the Premier League, I'd say it's important that we give him his flowers. Now, Darwin Nunez is, whether you like it or not, Darwin Nunez is one of the best athletes in football, okay? He is 6'2", one of the fastest players in the Prem, has an incredible work rate, seemingly never gets tired, and has quite some strength. I also like to point out that, players, and I know players like Nunez, like Holland, like Inzaghi, players that can rack up a lot of XG in a single game, get a lot of shtick for just being poachers, but the way I view these guys is that they have incredible off-ball IQ. These guys are off-ball geniuses because there's no way you are fluking that many XG per game. So obviously, Darwin Nunez's main strengths are his athleticism, his work rate, and his offensive IQ. Now, I've come up with 3 possible solutions that we can proceed with Darwin Nunez next year. Obviously, I know he's probably going to get sold by the end of the season, but just bear me out. Just hear me out. So option 1, which is what I thought in November, Darwin Nunez at false 9, but not really, because whenever Darwin Nunez plays a good game, here's what I see from him. When we don't have the ball, Darwin Nunez drops into midfield. He wins his duels, wins the ball for us, and then he's able to pick out either Luis Diaz, Salah, Gakpo, and the wingers with a long ball. Now, chat, let me ask you this. Who does this remind you of? A striker that drops into midfield and is able to pick out one of the wingers with a long ball.
Harry Kane!
Exactly. One of the biggest criticisms with Harry Kane is that he's kind of like a striker that doesn't really play higher up the pitch. He always drops into midfield, and his playstyle only works if you have fast wingers, which is a huge reason why England never really succeeded in international competitions in the Euros, because they have more technical wingers like Foden, like Saka, like wide playmakers instead of guys with fast wingers. And guess what Liverpool have? Fast wingers. Salah, Luis Diaz, Chiesa. I'm not too sure about Gakpo, but Salah and Luis Diaz should be good enough. I'd say we could rock with a 4-3-3 with false line, or even a 4-3-1-2 with Darwin Nunez being the one, kind of like what Madrid was doing last year before they got a striker. Option 2, it's kind of irrelevant, but it's nice to put it out there. Move him as a defensive midfielder, kind of like a destroyer, a guy that has incredible athleticism, can run for days, and has great off-ball IQ. Because the way I understand it, if an attacker has great off-ball IQ, they should understand how attackers will move, thus because I guess they will be able to predict out, to sniff out potential movements. But our defensive midfielder situation has kind of been already solved. I mean, we have Gravenberch, probably I'd say the best defensive midfielder in the league right now. McAllister is more of an 8. I guess if you're looking for but we don't really have like a destroyer archetype, like a Casemiro, a Kante type of defensive midfielder. If we are looking for someone like that, I'd say look no further than Darwin Nunez. And then option 3, which is simply come off the bench. Now, in this case, I see Darwin Nunez kind of like a Garnacho is for Man United. Basically like a tired legs merchant, where everyone is tired, and like I mentioned before, Darwin Nunez, insane athleticism, he's going to be able to impact the team significantly. I mean, we saw it last year when we played Newcastle. He scored a brace off the bench, and we saw it recently against Brentford, keeping the lead for us in the Premier League. So yeah, that's kind of like all I wanted to say about Darwin Nunez. I'd say most likely he's going to get sold, which really hurts because I love Darwin Nunez, quite frankly, mainly because of the memes. But I think it's much better if we sell him to another team and in exchange get a proper striker like Victor Gyökeres or Isak or who else is there? Girassi, I guess. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Go sub up to the main channel, and with that said,